Howdy, 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 howdy. Hey, it's the WPIAL podcast on the Trip Live High School Sports Network. It's a party atmosphere, right? We got the PIAA playoffs, 2 newly crowned champions, 4 champions to be crowned at the Big House, Acrisure Stadium on the North Shore of Pittsburgh, coming up on Saturday. Well, it's like the Super Bowl for high school football fans here in southwestern Pennsylvania. So a lot to be happy about. I want to give a shout out to a loyal listener, Sada Ghani. That's the American pronunciation. Sada Ghani. Big fan of the show. And Chris Lackner pop in here. She listens on
Spotify. Right? We didn't rehearse beforehand.
So
on Spotify.
It's you started this whole thing. No, you didn't start Spotify, but getting us involved in that platform, and it's taken off, my friend.
That's the point. Everywhere but up.
That's right. So all of our stuff on Spotify
and YouTube now too.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right.
Anywhere you want it.
Anywhere and everywhere. Thank you, Christopher. All right. There's the great Chris Lackner, by the way, for all of you. You always hear me thanking him, and there he was right there. By the way, our get-together here, as always, is presented here in the postseason by Edgar Snyder and Associates. Go local, go with Edgar, helping injured people since 1982. There's the information, edgarsnyder.com. And again, we ask that you support all of our sponsors, but Edgar Snyder Associates stepping up. They're big. I see them everywhere now here in southwestern Pennsylvania. They're all pointing. edgarsnyder.com. So let's start with the 2 champions crowned this past Saturday at Pine Richland High School, that fabulous venue, hosting the 2 of the championship games here in 2025. We'll start with what I think a lot of people thought was a stunner. Hard to call a victory by a team that has now 21 WPIAL football championships a stunner, but 7th seed Aliquippa knocks off top seed McKeesport 21-12. Marcus Council Jr., what a young man, the Yale commit. We had him. He was our player of the week. Great chance to sit down and chat with him. 9 of 14 passing, 123 yards, 2 touchdown tosses. He ran for 47 yards and a touchdown as the Quips get the win. Khalil Good and Josh Lay were each had 1 touchdown reception in that game. Keemon Spell, the great junior running back from McKeesport, had that long touchdown run on the very first drive. And as a McKeesport fan, you're probably thinking, all right, here we go. Giddy up. Missed the extra point. And it was all downhill from there for the Tigers. Got to feel a little bit for Matt Miller's squad. They have now settled for WPIAL silver 3 consecutive years. They lost to Aliquippa in 2023. They lost to Thomas Jefferson a year ago, and they lose to Aliquippa again in 2024. Their season ends at 9-4, but probably you can mark it down now. They'll be the team to beat in Class 5A a year from now with Keemon Spell coming back. Aliquippa improves to 9-3. We'll talk about what's up next for them in a moment. The 6A championship game followed, and no surprise here. Central Catholic repeats as WPIAL 6A champion, 42-7 winners over North Allegheny. The Tigers season ends at 8-4. They dropped 3 of their last 4 games to end the season. Lend me your ears. Roman Thompson, 95 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Vikings. Jaden Alexander, how about the game he had? 62 yards he ran for, scored 2 touchdowns, including the game-opening 96-yard kickoff return for a score that kind of set an early precedence, and Central Catholic was off to the races, 14-0 after it won, 28-0 after 2 quarters, and they win 42-7. Very strange. In all the years I've been doing this, can't remember a lightning delay in a championship game in November. We usually get those in week 0, week 1, maybe week 2, late August, early September. No. Strange. It's been great weather. We can't really complain, but we get a lightning delay in the 6A championship game. 42-7, Central Catholic prevails. So both the Quips and the Vikings punched their ticket to the PIAA state playoffs, which actually began last week. Quarterfinals are coming up this week. Let's take a look. Central Catholic, 11-1, will be taking on State College. The Little Lions are 10-2. Hard to believe when I saw this. I didn't see it. I looked it up. This is only the 5th all-time meeting between Central Catholic and State College. Central has been a dominant force in 6A since the classification began 10 years ago. State College has ruled the roost in 6A in District 6, so you thought their paths would cross a little more often. Not the case. 5th meeting coming up on Friday night, Mansion Park in Altoona at 7 o'clock, and Central Catholic has won all 4 of those previous contests. For Aliquippa, they head north Friday, 7 o'clock, at Mahalik Thompson Stadium at Slippery Rock University. It'll be the Aliquippa Quips at 9-3, taking on the champions of District 10, the Oilers of Oil City. They are celebrating up where they distribute the derrick. 10-1 for Oil City, the District 10 champs. First ever meeting between the Quips and the Oilers. That's coming up Friday at 7 o'clock. One other area team that will be in action on Friday is Westinghouse. It's so easy to say City League champion Westinghouse. That's not the case this year. Bulldogs lost to University Prep in the City League Championship, but they still, since they were the highest rated team out of District 8 in Class A, got a berth into the PIAA playoffs, and they rock and rolled and blanked Myersdale last week by a score of 42-0. Myersdale, the Red Raiders champions of District 5. They were 11-1 going into that game. So Westinghouse moves on. 7-4 for the Bulldogs. So, boy, tall task. They'll be taking on the defending state champions, the Marauders of Bishop Guilfoyle Academy. They check in with a record of 11-2. The District 6 champs won the D6 title just last week. Second ever meeting between the Bulldogs and Marauders last year at this time. PIAA Quarterfinals. They played, and it was all Bishop Guilfoyle winning 56-15 over Westinghouse. So that takes care of the 3 games on Friday. That Westinghouse and Bishop Guilfoyle game, Panther Stadium at River Valley High School in District 6, the site of that game. So 3 games on Friday featuring Central Catholic, Aliquippa, and Westinghouse. Now, let's dig in. Championship Saturday at Acrisure Stadium. It all begins with the Class A matchup between the Clairton Bears and the hold on. Not the Fort Cherry Rangers, the Laurel Spartans. That was a stunner. Laurel's had a great season. They won the Big 7 conference in Class A. Only one loss. That was to Bishop Canavan earlier this year. 11-1. But very few people outside that Laurel locker room figured that the Spartans would knock off the Rangers, ending their 2-year run as champions in the district, ending their 40-game win streak against WPIAL opponents. 24-14, Laurel over Fort Cherry. Jack Miles, 103 yards and a touchdown for the Spartans. Colton Carlson, another force in the run game. A touchdown run, a touchdown reception from Lucas Santini as Laurel pulls off the upset. They will be taking on the Clairton Bears back at Acrisure. They lost to Fort Cherry in that instant classic last year in the Class A championship. This past 42, Bishop Canevin 22, Crusaders with their 12th consecutive victory. They had, remember, they had 10 consecutive shutouts, gave up 33 points in a quarterfinals victory, district quarterfinals victory over Jeanette. And then last week, 22 points to Bishop Canevin, but they're also scoring a lot of points, and thus they continue to advance. Dion Lovelace Pompey, senior running back, 134 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Bears. Dante Wright, his running mate in the backfield, 89 yards and 2 touchdowns as Clairton wins 42-22. It is the 9th meeting ever all time between Clairton and Laurel. And of those 9 meetings, this will be the 3rd time they've met in the WPIAL championship. 1980, Laurel upset Clairton to win their first and only WPIAL football championship. 14-12 was the final score. 9 years later, 1989. Neat thing about this game, both current head coaches, Brian Cooper of Laurel, Wayne Wade of Clairton, were players on their respective teams, those respective teams, back in 1989. Clairton defeated Laurel 27-20 to win WPIAL gold. 8 previous meetings, Clairton has won 6 of them. Laurel has won twice. The 2 victories kind of significant. Well, obviously, one was for a WPIAL championship. The other win was in 2009. It was week 1. They didn't have week 0 back then. Laurel upset Clairton in week 1, and then Clairton won the rest of their games that year, the following year, the following year, the following year. 66 consecutive wins after that loss to Laurel to open up, I believe it was the 2009 season. So 2 significant wins. Can they make it a 3rd in the rubber game of their championship series? That's 11 a.m. kickoff Saturday, Laurel against Bishop Canevin. And thanks to our good friends at Edgar Snyder and Associates, all 4 championship games on Saturday can be heard, old school audio, here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. The 2 teams that will be meeting at Acrisure Stadium and have met the most in the past, it will clash in the 2A championship game, the Seton LaSalle Rebels and the Steel Valley Ironmen. Seton LaSalle 11-1, second win in 3 games, 4 weeks because they had a bye, as they defeated Washington 27-19. Kymar Freeman, 128 yards rushing and a touchdown for the Rebels. Kia Jones, the quarterback, 6 of 8 passing, 131 yards and a touchdown as the Rebels eliminate Washington last week's semifinals. Meanwhile, the other semifinals, it was Steel Valley soundly defeating Western Beaver 34-7. Duron Barksdale, his brother, Duron was part of the teams as a freshman and sophomore. He was hurt his sophomore year. But he was on those teams that made it to the WPIAL championship, winning his freshman year, losing his sophomore year, both games against Beaver Falls. It's his time to show because those teams, it was Donald, his older brother, Donald Barksdale, that really was the star, especially 2 years ago. But Duron now is the man, 266 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns was on a 55-yard punt return as Steel Valley rolled 34-7. They improve to 9-3. How close is this series? Well, first of all, before we get to that, these 2 teams playing in the WPIAL playoffs for a second straight year. They met last year in the 2A semifinals with Seton LaSalle winning 27-13, ending that 2-year run of championships for Steel Valley. The Rebels made it to the finals last year and lost to South Park. But that victory by Seton LaSalle in last year's semifinals evened the record of this series at 13 apiece. This is the 27th time the Rebels and Ironman will square off on the football field, and both Seton LaSalle and Steel Valley have won 13. So there you go. How's that for dramatic buildup? 2 p.m. kickoff for the Rebels and the Ironman. 3A championship, it will be a battle of the undefeated. A perfect Avonworth squad against a perfect Imani Christian team. Antelopes now 12-0, 44-24 winners over North Catholic last week in the semifinals. Luca Neal, this is his time to shine, 93 yards and 2 touchdowns, but Demetria Velaceris, 122 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, as the Antelopes knocked off the Trojans for the second time this season. Meanwhile, Imani Christian destroying a pretty good Central Valley team, 48-0. David Davis, just the day before he had earlier committed to Penn State, changed his commitment and recommitted to North Carolina last Thursday. Bill Belichick and company. Then he goes out the next day and rushes for 266 yards, or 243 yards, my apologies, 3 touchdowns in that Saints 48-0 mauling of the Warriors. Gabe Jenkins, 146 yards on the ground for Imani Christian. So 12-0 versus 12-0, Saints and Antelopes. Second all-time meeting between those two schools. You don't have to go back far. The first time the Antelopes and Saints met was last year in the semifinals. Luca Neal, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, as Avonworth defeated then undefeated Imani Christian 14-6 on their way to a WPIAL championship. This is now 4 straight years for Avonworth to the WPIAL finals. That's a 5 o'clock kickoff for Avonworth versus Imani Christian. And finally at 8 o'clock, prime time. It'll be for a 3rd straight year, Pine Richland versus Peters Township. PR versus PT. Last week in the semifinals, Pine Richland dogfight, but they held on to defeat Moon 34-14. Khalil Taylor with 2 touchdowns, including a long interception return for a score. How long? 104 yards. Doesn't get much longer. I guess 109 yards could be the longest you could get. Aaron Strader, 2 touchdowns, or touchdown pass and 2 touchdown runs for the Rams, who are now 11-1. They will be taking on an undefeated Peters Township team. The Indians rolling past rival Upper St. Clair last week in the semifinals, 31-6. Cole Nightpaver, he has really come on strong in the latter stages of the regular season and in the postseason. 146 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Nolan DeLucia, their outstanding quarterback, a touchdown pass as the Indians headed back to the title game for a 3rd straight year. This is only the 3rd time in WPIAL history that the same 2 programs have met in the WPIAL championship game a 3rd straight year. Same 2 programs, yeah. It was done in 2000, I want to say 12, 13, 14. Might be off there, but Aliquip and South Fayette played in 3 straight 2A championship games. And then just recently, North Allegheny and Central Catholic have cornered the market on title game appearances. They have played each other in the 6A title game now 4 straight years. So only the 3rd time. We're talking over I guess they were playing championship games 100 years ago. Early on, they used to just give them teams, they didn't play playoffs games. I think we're not yet at 100 years of playoff games, but they declared champions back then, sort of like college football used to do. But nonetheless, that's a pretty awesome accomplishment for both Pine Richland and Peters Township. It's the rubber game of their 3-game championship series. 2 years ago, Peters Township victorious 43-17. Last year, it was Pine Richland taking home gold 20-9. That's an 8 p.m. kick for Pine Richland against Peters Township. So it really does shape up to be 4 quality games. That's not always the case. I know we in the media try to build up these games to be bigger than sometimes they actually are, but I think this is it doesn't mean that all 4 are going to go down to the wire, but I think we have the makings for 4 really strong championship games coming up Saturday at Acrisure Stadium. All 4 can be heard here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. We'll have a Player of the Week and a Team of the Week podcast early next week coming out of this special weekend. And we'll just continue on through the state playoffs. We're into the quarterfinals. So there's still, after this week, 2 more weeks of state football playoffs. So the whole 4 weeks or the 4 podcasts that we do, we will continue that. We might squeeze in a Sunday podcast. We will squeeze in a pod. Yeah, let's make that decision now. Executive decision. We will squeeze in a recap. So Sunday morning, we'll have that up before the Steelers beat the Bears. We'll take a look back at not only what happened Friday with Central Catholic, Aliquippa, and Westinghouse, but also what happened Saturday in the 4 WPIAL championship games. So that'll be our next podcast early Sunday. And then we'll get into Player of the Week and Team of the Week podcasts. All right. Thanks to Chris Lackner for all of his help, including promoting Spotify, where you can listen to this podcast and hopefully enjoy it. I'm Don Rebel. We thank you for joining us. Rebel Yell Podcast. Salute. Trib Live High School Sports Network.